Hey everyone, it's Mark here, and today I've got some exciting news for you guys. We're heading back to the track. That's right, things in the community are on the mend, so as of next week, we're going to be back club racing. I'm so excited. So what does all this mean? Well, there's a list of jobs I need to get sorted out on these cars before next weekend, and as you'll see from the intro, the old FG Mini needs a little love. That's right, Blair's done a number on the carbon rear wing. So today I'm going to be showing you some techniques for working with carbon fibre. You can use these techniques on a variety of parts and the results you can get at home are amazing. Hopefully you enjoy today's video. Thanks for watching. All right, here it is. What we're going to do is we're going to make a template of this because Blair has a habit of wrecking these things. So we're going to make a template out of this here. This is just some steel plate that I've picked up from the local hardware store. It's about 0.8 of a millimetre thick. So I'm just going to mark some lines on that. And then we're just going to put, this here has a slight bend in it. So we're going to bend this piece of plate up to match that. So this is a sheet metal bank I've made in the workshop, but you could easily bend this over a bench. It's only really light gauge. All right, just to give this a little more strength, I'm just going to put another couple of folds in this because we'll be keeping it for a while. All right, here it is, the sheet metal bent up. So we should get 4 out of this. We're going to need them because Blair likes to send them in. So the next step now is to get this ready for the carbon fibre. I'm going to just use a PVA release on this today. It doesn't need waxing or any sort of oiling because it's a really simple design. The PVA is a great release. It's water-based as well, so it cleans up in water and washes off this mold in water. So you just apply the PVA and then spread it out with a bit of foam. You can use a bit of a sponge. Nearly out of the PVA. You just need to make sure you got a good uniform coating and it's all over the mold surface. It doesn't take very long to dry this either. It only takes 10 minutes or so to air dry. Alright, so I've got the carbon fibre laid out here. I've got some masking tape along here. The masking tape helps keep the carbon weave in position when you cut it. You'll see that in a second. I might even cut a piece without the tape just to show you what happens. So it's just some simple masking tape, just some thin ones there. I've got enough here for 4 sheets on those stays. The stays don't need to be very strong. We want them to break when the car rolls over ideally, otherwise it could tear that Lexan body. So the carbon fiber's really easy to cut. Now we've got those cut out, we just want to make sure too that all the twills are nicely in line on our external pieces. The internal pieces don't worry so much. You can't really see them. It doesn't affect strength in any way. It's just cosmetics. So you just want to make sure that they all look nice. So 4 sheets. I don't know what this weighs actually, but the 4 sheets are going to turn out to be roughly about 1 millimetre thick, which is just right for that mini stay. All right, you can see the mold's dry now. It's got a nice satin sheen to it. That PVA has dried off. So for the job today, we've got some polyester resin here and some hardener, just a cup to mix the resin in. I like to use a little syringe to draw up the hardener or the catalyst out of the little bottle there. You'll see what that's for. Mixing brush and a brush to apply to the mold, a scraper, you'll see what that's for, and some gloves. Fiberglass is a pretty messy job, so, well, resin's a messy job. The other thing we'll be using today that's probably a little bit different is I normally vacuum form these. So the procedure today, even though we're not vacuuming, we're going to use some of the same methods. So what we'll have is we'll have layered up carbon fibre on the mould, and then after the carbon fibre's on, we'll be putting down a piece of this bleeder ply. So it's almost like a silk ply, and it's designed as a release and a bleeder. So after this is cured, it'll release, but during curing, it will let fiberglass through. The idea being you put something on the back of it to absorb the excess resin, and I'll use the scraper to scrape out the excess resin, and it'll be trapped in here. When it's dry, I'll be able to just peel that off and leave a nice carbon fibre finish. Again, this is normally a technique used in vacuum bagging, but it'd still be a very, very easy thing to do at home, just in the home workshop, with some simple supplies from your local shop. So this polyester resin doesn't take long to go off. It's really easy to mix in. There's normally a ratio that comes with the polyester resin. So resin to catalyst ratio. I just guessed mine today. It's pretty cold here, so I like to put in a little bit extra. Just makes it go off a little bit quicker. So the first step is to put some resin on the mould, nice and liberally, a lot on there, because we're going to squeeze that out through the carbon fibre into that bleed ply. Good on the edges there, so we get some good coverage. Put our first sheet of carbon on. Good thing to note here is just to make sure that all the twills are lining up. If they're not lined up, now is a good opportunity to straighten those. That face underneath is going to be the working face, so it's good to get those all lined up cosmetically. Another coat of resin. Make sure you work it in, get it all the way to the edges. Love the smell of fiberglass, smells great. So you can just see some of the edges coming up here. If we didn't have that taped, it would be a mess right now. We would have pulled twills or strands of carbon fibre everywhere. So this is the last one. Make sure they're all nice and straight. All these twills, looks good. So we've got a nice amount of resin on there. Not too worried about the amount because we're going to soak it up with this bleed apply. So the next step is the peel apply. So this doesn't stick, and you'll see the resin will be able to come through it. And then we put this down, and then we're able to just pull out that excess resin that we don't need. Let's see if we can have a quick look in here for you guys. You can see how the excess resin's soaked up through into this cloth, through the bleed apply, and we'll have a nice finish on that carbon fibre now on the inside. That'll look really good. And it won't be too heavy because it won't be soaked in resin. It'll be nice and light. That's where vacuum bagging is good because you get such a light part. We might weigh one of these when we're finished actually, just to see if we've got it as light as one of my vacuum bagged ones. Alright, so it's the next day. It's time to unwrap this. I'm pretty excited to see how it's come out. Let's pull this ply off. You can see it's come off really easily. Now we're left with this peel ply on the carbon, and that should peel off too. It's coming off really easily. Look at the finish on the back of that. It looks good, doesn't it? I can't wait to see the other side. Hopefully it comes out of this mold okay. Should be fine. It's only a simple one. Easy. Look at that. So you can see there, that's the PVA release, and that will just wash off with water. Once you hit that with water, that'll all just come off, and the same with your mold. Look at that. It looks great. Let me hit it with some water. So here it is, all cleaned up. Looks fantastic. Really, really happy with the finish on that. Both front and back. Looks amazing. All that's left to do now is just mark out the 4 of those. Gee, we might even get 5. The 4 of those stays and cut those out. Now, someone had asked a question about this carbon cover also in one of the other videos. It was someone all the way from Japan actually, Nitro GT Racer. And the answer to that question is it was made in the same way as this. So I've made a mold out of that sheet metal. So I've just sculpted it into the shape I needed and then made this, and the results are really, really good. Factory. We're gonna call that a factory finish, guys. Well, that's it, video done. How great did these carbon parts turn out? They look amazing. I really hope you enjoyed watching. Next video, we're back on the Mech Tech. We'll be looking at some wiring tips in the next video and how to neaten up the wiring within your car, and also on how to install a kill switch. It really will be a great video. So remember to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when that video is out, and like too, and comment too. The videos have been receiving some great comments and it's so good to see. I love it. Thanks very much, guys, and we'll catch you next time.